Welcome to the AWS Management Interfaces. In this module, you'll learn about the convenient options for accessing and using AWS resources. AWS users can create and manage resources in three unique ways: using the AWS Management Console, the AWS Command Line Interface, also called the AWS CLI, or the AWS Software Development Kits, or SDKs. All three of these options are built upon a common interface, or API, that serves as the foundation for AWS. The AWS Management Console provides a graphical interface to access AWS features. The AWS CLI lets you control AWS services from the command line, and of course, AWS also provides the SDK that will enable you to access AWS using a variety of popular programming languages. Now, before we explore how to use these options, let's briefly look at the tools. The AWS Management Console lets you open and use various AWS services and features. There's even an app you can use with iOS or Android platforms so that you can view your existing resources and alarms and perform operational tasks at your convenience. The AWS CLI will allow you to automate and repeat the deployment of AWS resources in a way that is programming language agnostic, where the AWS SDKs can help you use AWS in your existing applications, create applications that can deploy and monitor complex systems using only code. The AWS CLI and the SDKs give you the flexibility to customize AWS features and create your own tools specific to your businesses. You can use all three of these modes interchangeably. They're not exclusive. For example, you might create an Amazon EC2 instance using an SDK call, describe it, then using the AWS CLI, and shut it down later with just a few clicks in the console. Now, let's examine each tool, beginning with the console itself. The console will facilitate cloud management for all aspects of your AWS account, including monitoring your monthly spending, managing security credentials, setting up new users. It'll give you several ways to find and open services. Here on the console homepage, you can search for what you need, select recently visited services, or expand the All Services section to browse through all of the AWS services. The Services option is always displayed in the top navigation bar, allowing you to search for what you need at any time. You can list the services by groups or arrange them alphabetically. You can personalize your experience in the console by creating shortcuts to the services that you visit the most often. The pin icon will allow you to drag and drop service links right onto the toolbar. You can use resource groups to streamline your use of the console. You can create a resource group for each application, service, collection of related resources you frequently use, and then quickly navigate to each saved resource group using the AWS menu. Resource groups are specific to identities, so each user in your account can create unique resource groups for their own frequently accessed resources and their common tasks. You can share these resource group definitions with others in the same account just using a URL. The tag editor allows you to easily manage tags for resource types that support tags. You can apply these tag keys and values to multiple resources at one time. The tag editor supports global tag searching, bulk editing, so you can find all the resources with a particular tag or make a tag change across multiple resources with just a few clicks. From the console, you can also access helpful resources to learn about AWS services and features, so you can start building your solutions. The Build a Solution section features automated wizards and workflows that can help you create the resources you need for the solution you are seeking. The Learn to Build section includes learning resources organized by solution type and use case. Resources might include tutorials, videos, self-paced labs, project guides, and of course, documentation. To access the console remotely using your remote device, Simply download our mobile app from the Amazon App Store, Google Play, or iTunes. It's helpful to note that it may take time for some changes made using another interface to update and show in the console. For example, if you make changes to a feature using the CLI, it might not be readily viewable from the console when it initially launches. The AWS CLI is an open source tool that lets you interact with the AWS services without having to do a lot of configuration. You can start using all the functionality of AWS from the command line, including things like running commands for Windows, Linux, Mac OS, or Unix. You'll learn more about how to do that later on in this course. The AWS SDK and the supporting interfaces enable applications built on AWS to manage your infrastructure as code. The concept of infrastructure as code is powerful, disruptive. It's what sets the cloud apart from the old IT world. These language-specific SDKs contain APIs that allow you to easily incorporate the connectivity, functionality of the wider range of AWS cloud services into your code without the difficulty of writing the functions yourself. AWS provides extensive resources for these SDKs, including getting started guides, developer guides, API references, as well as community forums and blogs. All right, let's wrap up by summarizing what we've covered. AWS offers 3 different ways to create and manage AWS resources on your platform: the console, the AWS CLI, and the SDKs, all of which reference the AWS API. You have the flexibility to create your own resources and access features on the go. With multiple interfaces, you have what you need to get your job done. For more information about these tools, visit amazon.aws.com and search for the specific tool by name.